Hello, my name is Bissonnette-Gideon, and this is my screencast for my final project. Firstly, I want to start by mentioning one major thing that stuck with me over the course was the very last class where you briefly mentioned to all of us that our learning throughout the semester was really guided because of ourselves. And this really made me reflect and look back at the steps I had taken and just how far I had come. Going into my first semester at university, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. I always knew that I wanted to be in education and that I wanted to be a future art teacher. I always had an incredible passion for art, and I always knew that is exactly what I wanted to do. Although my first school visit was to Stansted, and I had started getting really nervous. I was really getting in my head and doubting myself. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. But as soon as I got into the classroom I was placed in, which was a grade 9 English class, I knew that it was everything I wanted. I loved the student-teacher bond. The students were talking about how they lost their soccer game and the teacher was joking with them, but still in a very professional way. And that is exactly what I loved to see, and that is exactly what I want to do with my future. I want to be there for students and really have that bond with students. So this classroom visit overall really emphasized the idea of how much I wanted to be a teacher. It just really showed to me that it is exactly where I was supposed to be and exactly what I wanted to do. My second classroom visit was at an art class at Stansted, and this was the first time I really got to explore my discipline at a teacher level, and this was really impactful to me. I got to speak to the teacher, Mr. Williams, and it was the most meaningful experience over the whole semester. It really taught me so much. Immediately walking into the classroom, I knew it was everything I wanted. The atmosphere of the class and the passion of the students towards art was everything that I wanted for my future. I also had a really deep and meaningful conversation with Mr. Williams himself, and he was absolutely so kind to me and asked me so many questions, and he asked me if I had ever considered teaching in a private school. And growing up in Alberta, it had never crossed my mind. Private schools weren't very common in Alberta, and I had never heard much about them. But from what I know, they are very popular and common in Quebec, so it was something that interested me. And he told me how it was just such a different lifestyle, and how teaching at a private school, teachers have so much compassion, and they care for their students so much, and they're such a bigger part of their lives. And to me, that sounded amazing. That sounded like everything that I would ever want. I mean, it's why I went into teaching, because of the compassion that I have for students and how I want to really teach them and not just go to my job and then go home. That's absolutely not what I want. Mr. Williams told me how in private school you have to do more, you have to coach, and you have to do residence duties, and that's all really interesting to me because being a larger part of students' lives, to me, that is exactly what teaching is all about, and really making that extra effort. And so it really made me look into private school teaching, and so it was a really meaningful interaction that I had over the semester. He also taught me to never listen to any negativity that people have to say, and how negativity can never help me as a teacher at all. And that was really helpful towards me, because when I was in high school just a couple months ago, my teachers told me to not go into education. And because it was really hard to get employed, it was hard to get a job, especially as an art teacher. And honestly, they didn't change my mind at all. I knew exactly that I wanted to be a teacher, and I knew exactly that I wanted to go to Bishop's University, and it was all just planned out in my mind. And Mr. Williams really reinforced that, and how I shouldn't listen to anyone who has negative aspects, and I think that is a really helpful trait that will help me be a teacher in the future. My second school visit was at 2 classrooms at Alexander Galt. This was a very different environment and a very different atmosphere. The students were a little bit less controlled, and the teacher had less control over the students. Students were more loud, and immediately I started thinking of ways that I would gain control over the students, because as a teacher you never know what kind of classes you'll be placed in and what kind of students you'll have to deal with. So I think that seeing the other side of it, the public school environment, was also very helpful to me. It showed me the different sides and the different kind of students and the different kind of teachers. I mean, The teachers at Alexander Galt were very different than the teachers at Stansted, and I would love to be a teacher in a public school that really brings that compassion and passion to the school. Over the semester, I was also placed in a private elementary school, and I was pretty nervous for this encounter, as it is most definitely a different environment from the other two schools I had been to. It was a little scary as I was getting a degree in secondary education, and it wasn't something I was used to. And it was a very interesting experience seeing just how different each level is and just how different teachers teach different age levels. It was a very interesting experience. But it also really showed me just how much I want to be a secondary teacher. There was nothing wrong with the young students, but I just feel like I can really make the most big of an impact on high school students, and I can really motivate them and push them towards their future, and that's really exciting to me. One thing I have learned that I really need to improve on is that I was a little bit shy. I was a little bit nervous. My oral communication skills weren't the best. I could introduce myself to the classes, but aside from that, I was pretty sheltered. I was scared to get to know the students more, and that is definitely something I need to improve on. Over the semester, I found that my writing skills had also greatly improved. At the beginning, I wasn't really sure what to do to approach the learning logs, but at the end I really found that it was easy to relate my readings to my classroom visits and that the ideas just flowed, and that was really cool to see, and it was really helpful towards my other classes too. It was also really helpful to work collaboratively in my issue guide. I feel like it really helped my communication skills in groups, and it really helped my writing skills and how to work as a group. The issue guide was really helpful towards me because I got to explore issues that I normally wouldn't. I pushed myself on purpose to explore environmental education because it wasn't something I knew a lot about, and it was really helpful to work as a group and really explore ideas that I had never really thought of, and I feel like it's really going to help me as a future teacher because now I really know the importance of environmental education, and I can also explore how I can use that through my discipline. Another thing that really helped me towards my discipline was one experience that I had in a studio class over the semester. And in my studio class, every single week we have to present our work to the whole class, and there was one class that I was just dreading because the project I had to work on, I wasn't entirely proud of the outcome. I had struggled with it and retried multiple times, and I had eventually just settled on one attempt that I had made. But that didn't stop me from dreading showing it to the entire class. But then something amazing happened. When it got around to my turn, everyone was pointing out what they loved in my piece, and how they saw it in different ways, and how they saw it as stained glass, and they just adored it. And to me, that really, really impacted me. The fact that they saw something that I didn't like, and they found all these different things, and they saw it in ways that I had never even looked at it before. And it even made me appreciate my piece, and that is exactly what I want to bring as an art teacher. I want to show my students that no matter what they create, there is always beauty behind it, and that not everyone might see it the same, and that even though you might not like it, that doesn't mean that someone else doesn't see it as a beautiful piece of art. And to me, that's really impactful, and that class really showed me just how much I want to be an art teacher and show students that they can create beautiful work. What else can I talk? Another thing the course taught me that I really appreciate is how much it deepened my understanding of Aboriginal territories and the land that we live on, and how we can acknowledge those territories, and that really pushed me and moved me because I am excited to explore new ways on how I can push that for my future students and show that through my discipline of visual arts. As a future educator, I believe that it is incredibly important to continue to spread the fact and to teach the students that the land we live on, about the land we live on, and just how important it is to acknowledge the territory that we are a part of. Overall, in conclusion, this class really benefited me in many ways, and my absolute favorite experience over the course was the hands-on learning and visiting classrooms. I think that really showed me and opened the doors to just what I can do as a future educator and who I can be as a future educator and what traits I can possess. And that really showed me the most. And it showed me just how much I want to be here and how much I appreciate this opportunity and how much I can't wait to be a teacher and to possibly teach in a public school or a private school and to just see where the future comes. And I can't wait to take more classes and see just how much I can grow. And so, thank you for teaching the course. I really, really did appreciate and understand and I learned a lot, sorry.